Hi guys, welcome again to my YouTube channel. My name is Ayodeji Faneye, and I'm so delighted to have you here with me again. All right, I hope you've subscribed. Yeah. So just do it now. Okay, thanks. All right, so today we're looking at a kind of topic that I think at one point or the other, we all have to just, I don't know, we have our experiences as far as this topic is. Every one of us have gone through failure at one point or the other, whether as a kid or as an adult. Directly or indirectly, we have all experienced failure. And I thought to myself, okay, let's just have a short session on this subject topic today. Failure. So we're talking about failure. And I'm not going to be doing it alone today. I have with me here someone I know a lot, someone I can say I've been with him all through his life. Like, we grew up together. I know him like a blood knows a bone, to the marrow, to the like. I am that close to this person. This person is no other than my name is Ayodeji Faneye, and I'm a Nigerian. I was born, bred, and I grew up in Lagos. And what else? I had the privilege of having my university education in Akure, that is in the state of Nigeria, and I did surveying and geoinformatics. After which I relocated to Hamburg, Germany, here, and at the tail end of my master's degree in hydrography. I'm a Christian, and I'm from Ogun State of Nigeria. I'm a proud Yoruba guy, and what else? I love to write. I'm an actor. I speak. That's why you're on speak. And what else? Yeah, nah, I mean that's. I'm a lover of God. I'm a lover of humanity, and I just want the best for everyone around me as well as I do for myself. Okay, perhaps I just stop there for now, and we'll see if I have the privilege to say one or two things about myself again. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. When you hear failure, like, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? What comes to your mind? What do you think of failures? So, the first thing that comes to my heart when I hear failure is fear, because failure comes with fear, fear of rejection, fear of neglect, fear of not being worthy, fear of not being accepted, fear of so when I hear failure, the first thing that just hits me is fear. If you're going to write this exam and you fail, what happens? If you're trying to buy something and you fail, what happens? If you're trying to get some money into your account, what happens? If you're trying to get a job, I mean, this is something I can resonate with very well. In the past month, trying to get a student job, and I know what fear of failure kept coming here and there. But yeah, so the first thing that comes to my heart when I hear of failure is fear. Many times we go through life, some people, they just have everything easy, it goes well for them. So my question to you now is, have you failed before? Definitely. I've failed before. I mean, I don't know, do you want to hear my failure stories? I'm not meant to be screaming or boasting about failures, right? But I think it's always like that when I'm failing, or when anyone is failing. You are not always privileged or able to boast about these failures, but afterwards we look back and we appreciate every bit of the failure. So if I've failed before, yes, I've failed before. I've failed a lot of times, a number of times. Yeah. So as a Christian, in your own opinion, do you think that God plans failure as part of journeys in life? This is a tricky one, but I feel that it's relative. Yeah, it's relative, and by relative means that we have different purposes, we have different assignments in life, and so the question of whether God planned failures for us or not is very relative, because even when you look at the scriptures, there were people who started a thing, began a thing, and they never failed at all. Whereas there are some persons who, they just had to go through a number of failures. Joseph was on his way to the palace. He had to fail, go to the prison. He had to fail, go to Potiphar's house, go to the prison. And so failure on the part of God, I think, is relative. and it's just peculiar to the purpose and the intention of God for our lives. And this is why, personally, I mean, it took me 6 O-level examinations and 5 JAMB examinations to get into the university. Whereas my sibling just did it, one of my siblings just did it once, and then it got into the university. So it's about the different lives, the different destinies that we have. And so whether God has plan of failure for some people or not, I'm not God, so I do not know that. Would you like to share with us some of your experiences, as far as failure is concerned, some of the things that you've experienced in the past or currently? Experiences. Okay, so I'm gonna start with I think the first time I understood what failure meant a bit was in my primary 3, and I had we were 81 in the class. It was second term. We were 81 in the class, and I got in the 7th to 9th position. And that day I got back home, and my mom was on active duty, so she was not at home. My dad was not also around, so I got back home and I was asleep. And my mom got back in the evening, I think around 10 p.m. And she woke me up, to ask me about how was your grade or whatever happened. Why are you 79 out of 81? And then, of course, I got some pampering. I got some nice pampering, the ones that bring tears and all of that. So that was my first memory of failure. But I was still a kid. I was still, it was a tender age, so not so many. I didn't really feel the pain. However, I started feeling the pain of my failures when I finished secondary school, or at the tail end of my secondary school, when I had to rewrite JAMB examinations 5 times and the WAEC or O-level examination 6 times. So this was my first time. The first time I would know what failure was. It was traumatizing. It was weakening. This was a time, this was a period of my life when it was so difficult for me to. I was almost going to lose my self-worth. I was going to lose my self-worth, really, because at the time I just had to stay home. The only thing I did, well, I worked immediately I finished my secondary school. I worked a bit, but for about 4 years I was just home, sleeping and waking up in my room on a bunk bed. Those bunk bed with the springs, and you're sitting on it, it's going bam, 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 bam. I was always there, and this was the major part of what my life looked like. It was not funny. However, the end product of it was much more profitable, because it was actually in this period that I had the reason to give my life to Christ, and I was just sold out to God until now and forever. So that's one experience. Another experience of my failure was getting admitted into a master's degree at the Afrin City University. Getting admitted really wasn't a thing of failure, because I only applied once and I got admitted once. However, I had applied to a number of schools ranging from Canada to Germany, and nothing worked. Like, if it wasn't the problem of my school in Nigeria, it would be the problem of what I do not know. And so that's another time of failure where I felt like kind of stagnant. I was just trying to get admitted into a university for my degree, master degree. I was paying. I think one of the most painful part of failures is that you invest resources, right? You invest. So I had to pay like application fees, and for this I really want to say thank you to my mom, thank you to my dad, because these guys did not give up on me. Many times I wonder, and I'm like, how come my dad trusts me? To the extent of I just tell you I need to do this, I need to do that, and then he's always in support. And it got to a point in time I was losing trust and confidence in myself. But thank God to my parents, my mom and my dad, they were always there to just encourage me, to strengthen me. And so for the most part of my failures at this time, my parents were there. And for now, the last time, I have a lot of failures, but the last one I want to mention now was the failure of my relocation proper to Germany. I applied for my visa and then I got declined, and I reapplied again, and it took forever, and I felt like a failure. Like, I felt nothing was just going to work. I kept writing emails, sending emails to the German embassy, but it was just what it was, right? And yeah, so that's another failure. Perhaps I should add more. Another failure was me getting to Germany and also applying for jobs. You know how it works when you have to apply for jobs and you just have to be prepared to get a lot of rejection emails. I had this, and many times these failures would come like against my person, right? Like my identity. And it took my stand in God to actually understand that failures do not define me. So it's me, you know, the fact that I'm feeling at the time. The fact that I'm feeling at the time does not equate to my self-worth being reduced. Okay, so would you say failure is a must to grow in life? I will not say that failure is a must to grow in life. No, I won't say that, because, like I said earlier, number of persons grew. Okay, let's look at it. Solomon, for one. Solomon didn't have to fail a lot, like his father David in the scripture, right? Solomon had, like, he was given birth to was it with a silver spoon, you know. He had everything, and then he was privileged to also have God, and you know, so he didn't fail. However, David failed a whole lot of time. David was meant to be king for how many years, and you know, rather than being in the palace, he was just running helter skelter, hiding and trying to preserve his life. So I would not say failure is a must to grow in life. However, I realize that there are certain circumstances in life when it's until you feel that your head will be correct. So personally, I fell into this category at some point in my life. In the university, when I got into 100 level, I didn't have anything like having a first class or a second class. Or I was just going to the university, and luckily for me, at the end of my first semester in FUTA, then we were just two who had a 2-1, and so I was happy, yeah, because I still sabi book, I'm still brilliant, but I was still not very particular about getting a first. I was just there. I just didn't want to get any carryovers. I was just there, and I was just there. And being there led me to then failing, because my first semester, which was a 2-1, second semester 100 level, I dropped. 200 level first and second semester, I dropped and dropped. 300 level first semester, I overdropped. And this was when my senses came back to me, and I realized that I had to. Now, failure taught me at this point in time, you know, to have sense. And it was at that time that I had a change of orientation, change of mind, and I started. I became much more serious with my attention and with my academics, and the results started changing. So for some people, it's until they learn that they learn through failures that they have the mindset and understanding to grow properly. However, for some people, it's not the case. They don't have to fail; they just have to do it and they move. So failure is not a must for growth. But some people, they must. At times, it's not even about results. Some people, it's all about character, right? Queen Vashti in the Bible, right? She had to fail. Well, the Bible did not record if she learned from her mistakes. However, in the book of Esther, chapter 1, she had to fail to, you know, to leave the palace. She failed because of pride, right? And then here was Esther, who was exalted because of humility. She was favored because of humility. So for some people, failure also comes to teach them right senses, good character, and good attitude. Take, for instance, a person who is going for a job interview, and you get to the job interview, and perhaps the first person you met at the door, at the gate, happens to be the MD or the CEO of the company, but unknown to you. And you know, you just speak rudely to this person. You know, you perhaps, because you're putting on a 3-piece suit and this guy is just standing at the gate with his polo, you feel you're bigger than this person, and you just, you know, lightly esteem this person. You just speak to this person in a demeaning way, only for you to get inside and realize that this person is the owner of the company, is the person who is going to interview you. At that point, you know, you have failed, except for Mercy or Chris. But ideally, or what normal human would do would be that at that point you would be failing that interview, because you have trivialized the boss. Unknown to you, you think this person was just any other person you could speak to anyhow. And so if you fail at such interview, you would be, and then you have to reapply, you would have learned from your failures not to speak to any person you meet, whether it's on the street or in the office. You would learn to respect every person. Okay, so what are some of the lessons that you have learned from failures, or you know, in the midst of your past failures? Are there any particular lessons that you've learned? Hmm. So, for some of the lessons I've learned in failure, the first lesson I've learned is don't give up in your failures. I really learned that in the midst of failures, the first thing that will be ringing in a person's heart is give up, give up, give up, because it comes with shame, it comes with stress, emotional stress, mental stress, even it comes with some sort of rejection amongst your friends and all of that. But the first lesson is do not give up, do not give up. So have every reason to strive further. The second lesson is try to pay attention to the lesson that God wants you to learn in your failures. And perhaps you are not, you do not believe in God yet. Uh, then this might be an opportunity. This might be a call for you to actually know God. So pay attention to the lessons that the failure is sending forth. It's like when you have to study for an examination, and then you did it the first time and you failed. The sensible thing to do the second time would be, to if you studied it for 1 hour before, perhaps you want to study for 3 hours now, because you understood that your 1 hour looked sufficient back then, but it gave you a failure. So also pay attention to what lesson God wants you to learn in this period. Also, the third lesson I've learned in failure is to pay more attention to myself. So the times of failure for me are times to understand my strength and my weaknesses. The truth of the matter is, when everything seems, going easy, seems like a bed of roses, like you don't see what defect you have. You don't know if you talk too much. You don't know if you're lazy. You don't know if you're gluten. You don't know your bad side or effect. So when you're failing, I would say, to pay attention to your strength and your weaknesses. And what else? What else? When you're failing, come back stronger. Get more angry and do it. Even if it's just like when tell yourself I can do it and let it keep moving you. And personally, this is one of the things that helped me. I got angry with failure because I felt to the extent that I was so angry, and most of the time, I couldn't, apart from God, like my anger at failures could not be vented on anyone. Like I couldn't just vent my anger on anyone. So most of the time, it was just the anger was inside. I was angry, and it would just push me, to do more. You can even see it on my face. I'm getting angry. Right, so just get more angry at your failure. So if you're failing at passing an examination, then I'm going to get more angry, because you are almost telling me I can't do it. That's your mistake, because I'm gonna do it. And it's just like Jesus and the devil. Devil thought he was going to overpower Jesus with Jesus, but look at the turn of events. Jesus became even more powerful than the devil forever. So one major lesson is, when you're failing, rather than give up and surrender, no, get more angry and strike harder. At this point of your life, looking all good and all of that, would you say you are above failures, or would you say you have stopped failing? For one, it's important to know that I'm not above failure, and nobody is above failure. Failure of whatever kind, I'm not above failure. What I trust to always keep me going daily is the grace of God. And so at this phase of my life, at this point of my life, I cannot say I've stopped failing, but I can tell you that I'm trying as much as possible by God's grace not to fail anymore, because it's not easy. I did my driving test. Well, the three, like I had to do like the mock exam before the main exam. I did the mock exam and then I failed. Now I understood something, because I have like 1,000. I have to study like 1,000 questions. I couldn't, because there was no time. So I did like maybe 700 or 800 questions, hoping that, and I just have to, out of this 1,000 questions, you're gonna have like 30 questions, and so I thought studying 700 or 800 would help me to. 30 I might be lucky. Unfortunately, I wasn't lucky, and that was some months ago. And so I've learned that before I will write that examination again, I have to try and study the entire question. And right now, I've just left it until I'm ready again, and I'll go back. So I'm not above failure. I can still fail, but by God's grace, I will not fail. And finally, I want to ask you, what is the best way out of failures? Like, what is the best way out of failure? This is the best way out of failure. I think this is totally unscripted. I mean, cannot be scripted. There is no best way out of failure because it's just peculiar. It's peculiar, it's relative. What is most important is that in failure, while you're failing, pay good attention to why you are failing. And if your failure seems beyond physical realm, maybe it's not something you want to study for, perhaps it's something spiritual, then it should still push you to pray. I said something earlier that it was at the point of my failures that I realized that God was telling me to yield to Him. This was the time I gave my life to Christ, and it was the turnaround for me. I was failing my wife, I was failing my jam, I was just at home, I was not working, nothing was working, and I didn't even think that God was calling me. It took Him to start giving me revelations, conviction, for me to know that, guy, can't you see what is happening? And it was at this period I gave my life to Christ. Now listen, when I gave my life to Christ, I just got so deep into God's work. Like, I'm an actor, so I got into the drama group and I was just so deep into it. So rather than stay home on my bed, always traveling in my mind, meditating and daydreaming and all of that, I started going out every day, and we were always having one ministration or the other. Thanks to God's Clan Ministry and our leaders. It was so this was the time that my life changed. It got so good to the extent that I forgot that I was failing WAEC or JAM exam. And guess what? Just this was in 2009, and in 2010 I passed my examination. I got admitted into FUTA, and this was it. So John chapter 10 verse 9 said something about it says, I am the gate and the door. Whosoever comes into me shall be saved. Then you can go in and out of me to find pasture. There I understand that when God says come to me, God is not saying come and be poor and come and be a useless person. No, most of the time this is how it looks like, that when you go to God you become useless. When you go to God, this is when you receive the mantle, the key to life. I went to God, I passed my examination. I even forgot I was failing to the extent that I wanted to just keep acting. But thanks to God, I went to the university, and here I am today. So there is no best way out of failure. You just have to pay attention to what God is saying at that time and to you. And perhaps you don't know God, then you have to pay attention to your heart. Listen to the Spirit. Something will speak to you that God is just trying to get your attention at this time, and you'll be fine. Okay, so I also have a question to you. What is your greatest fear? Wow, my greatest fear. As far as my greatest fear is concerned, I think it's the fear of failure. Yeah, fear of not fulfilling purpose in life. So that's my greatest fear. Okay, you've heard all that needs to be heard today as far as failure is concerned, and as far as Ayodeji Faneye would have us here. I don't know what is peculiar to your own failure at this point in time, but I believe that with one or two lessons that we've extracted from Ayodeji, it would help us to also maybe pay attention in the times of our failures and know what to do and what not to do. And I hope that you've been blessed. If you've been blessed by my video today, if you enjoy my video today, if you like my video today, if you like my views, I intentionally chose this view actually. If you love it, just do well to like my video, subscribe, and just don't subscribe, do well to also click on the notification bell. Okay, I love you all. Catch you on my next video. Bye bye.